So, yeah, number 9, we have Aisha Hannah Makala and Shamira Hussein. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Aisha,
And I'm Shamira.
and we are members of the Humber River Black Creek Youth Council and students of CW Jeffries, which is located in the community of Jaden Finch. We are active participants in the local community representing the voices and concerns of the youth in our area. Our council works towards promoting the well-being and empowerment of young people, advocating for positive change and addressing various issues that are affecting our community.
Public education holds great significance to us because it is the foundation for fostering equitable opportunities, empowering individuals, and building a prosperous society. We believe that every young person deserves access to a high-quality education. We are deeply concerned about potential cuts to education funding and the negative impact it could have on our school and students. Investing in public education is an investment in our future. It not only benefits individual students, but also strengthens our communities and contributes to the overall well-being and progress of society. We firmly believe that by prioritizing education and providing adequate funding, we can create a more equitable and prosperous future for all.
The reason as to why this affects us specifically is because being from a marginalized community such as Jaden Finch that is historically underserved, underrepresented, and often falls through the cracks, it can lead to youth joining gangs and violence, which is perpetuated by the school-to-prison pipeline. The issue of school-to-prison pipeline is deeply connected to our concerns about the public education and the Jaden Finch community. The school-to-prison pipeline refers to the systemic practices and policies that push students, particularly those from marginalized community, out of schools and into the criminal justice system.
In the Jaden Finch community, like other marginalized communities, there are often underlying socioeconomic challenges, limited resources, and systemic barriers that disproportionately affect students' educational experiences. These challenges can include inadequate funding for schools, lack of extracurricular activities, limited access to mental health support, and higher prevalence of police presence in schools. When students in our community do not have access to quality education and the necessary support systems, they are at a higher risk of experiencing academic disengagement, disciplinary actions, and ultimately involvement in the criminal justice system. It is essential to prioritize the well-being and success of students in the Jaden Finch community, ensuring that they have access to the necessary tools and opportunities to thrive academically and personally.
By refusing to accept these cuts, we can create a future where all students have an equal chance to succeed, regardless of their backgrounds or circumstances. As students of the TDSB, members of the Jaden Finch community, CW Jeffries students, and Humber River Black Creek Youth Council advocates, we strongly urge the board to take action against these cuts. We are calling the board to take an active role to do everything in your power as elected officials, board staff, and community partners to save the future of our generation. This can only be done with your support. We appreciate the time you have taken to hear us today, and we know that you will help us make a difference.
Thank you very much. Now we have questions from trustees. So first we have Trustee DeVitis.
So thank you for coming here. I know that it's not an easy thing to do, and I don't remember doing anything nearly as useful when I was your age as what you're doing today, so thank you for that, okay? So I got a couple questions. First of all, what grade are you both in?
I'm in grade 12.
I'm in grade 12 as well.
So you're graduating this year?
Yes.
So you're not here because you're going back in September.
No.
Why are you here?
We care about the Jaden Finch community. Like, it's a very small community. Everyone is connected. We also have siblings that are affected in this as well. Family, friends, it's not just us. it's people we're leaving behind us as well.
Okay. And I know that I talked to some of the students in the neighborhood in different schools about the budget process. What prompted you to want to come here and make your voice heard today?
After hearing about the budget cut, we all were a little alarmed as to what would happen in the next school year because as of right now, things are already a little bit tight on budget. And so we, as students, we were very concerned as to what wouldn't be here next year, like all of our extracurriculars or even teachers and CYCs. And if you go to Jeffries or any school within Toronto, you would know that our CYCs and our teachers are more than just educators. They're essentially our greatest support system, especially for us because it's our graduating year. I honestly don't know what I would have done without my teachers because next year we're stepping in to our first year of university, which is very nerve-wracking. But to imagine that they might not be here next year because of these budget cuts is very alarming. So that kind of what pushed us to come here today.
Okay. And then last question. So we, from the school board, we get our funding from the Ministry of Education. If you had something to say to the Minister of Education, what would you say?
I think we kind of summarized it and what we're asking you guys to do today. But yeah, honestly, I feel like taking away the funding in our school specifically too, I don't know, like there's just nothing for students to look forward to. I feel like if this is what affects us, people go to school to look forward to something, not only students, but also teachers. You can't not provide resources for teachers, then they're going to lose passion in teaching, then the students are not going to want to attend classes, and yeah.
Thank you for your advocacy and thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Trustee Laskin.
Thank you very much. I was going to ask a similar question of clarification. I'm not sure if you know what's being proposed within the budget, and I just wondered if you could advocate to us about resources that you feel are integral, if what you would say to us. You have mentioned community youth counselors, you have mentioned teachers, and I'm hopeful that the budget will satisfy that when it comes back to us to vote on. So I'm just wondering if you could clarify what other concerns you might have with what's actually being proposed in this year's budget. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Through the chair, thank you.
So for this year, something that has also affected us was our textbooks. Textbooks are supposed to be something that every student has, but we didn't have access to that. I was in food and nutrition this year, and I know in the curriculum you're supposed to be cooking at least once every 2 weeks. And since the semester has started, I've only cooked 3 times. We have like a week left until school is done. I also did online school, night school, and in night school we had gizmos, but because night school is different from day school, Jeffries didn't have access to gizmos because of the budget. That helped me specifically during exams. She can speak on her.
Tying back to the textbook thing, so right now I'm taking grade 12 biology, and I plan on going into pre-med next year. So I'm sure you would know that this is a very crucial course for next year. And unfortunately, my class, which is a class of approximately around 11 to 14 students, does not have access to textbooks. We have to use the ones that are online, and sometimes it is difficult to use the ones online due to the fact that you're staring at a screen for hours. And personally, like, I can't learn virtually, like it just doesn't work for me. But to have my textbook online, which is something that I need in this particular course, it's a little difficult to learn. Not to mention, I just had mentioned the gizmo. So my class was supposed to have the gizmos as well, and it was supposed to help out with our protein synthesis unit. But unfortunately, we didn't have the funds to cover for that gizmo, and so we missed out on that opportunity. And if you know anything about grade 12 biology, visuals are everything. So
Thank you. My time is up, but that was really important for our staff in the room to have heard. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And online we have Trustee King.
Thank you through the chair, and thank you, Taisha and Samira, for coming in today. I'm a CW Jeffries alumni myself, so appreciate the voice coming from that community and absolutely relate to the challenges that you have shared and some of the marginalizations that happen in that community. I want to thank you for just connecting the dots for us between budget and school violence and the school to prison pipeline. And my question is kind of similar to the one we just heard, but I'm wondering, as we speak specifically about addressing community safety and school safety, are there any particular roles or areas that you are concerned that cuts would directly impact safety in your schools and community beyond what you've already illustrated? Thank you through the chair.
in terms of safety, I think if budget cuts were to happen, that would also mean that we would have a minimized amount of safety hall monitors. So we usually have them to ensure that students are in class and are doing what they're supposed to be doing. But because there might be potential budget cuts, we might not have hall monitors. And because of this alone, students might feel that classes are optional, especially if class sizes increase. And not to mention, with class size increasing, not only will students not want to be in class, but you have to realize the school or the student to teacher ratio will also be off. So that means that there are more students, but less students individually getting the help that they might need. And speaking from personal experience, asking for help isn't always the easiest thing, especially in a large group of people, because sometimes you might be put in a spot where you're supposed to know something, but you don't know whatever's being taught. And so to have to bring yourself forward in front of maybe a class of 30 to 34 students isn't always the easiest, especially if you're in a very academic class or in a very academic environment.
And also, I have talked to students from other schools, and they have never heard of grade 12 classes being canceled, but my school has that because we don't have enough money to pay a supply teacher to be present. I'm not saying that the kids in my school are irresponsible, but when classes are constantly being canceled, you have nobody to supervise. It makes students feel like it's optional.
That's very helpful. Thank you both. And no further questions to the chair.
Thank you. And we have Trustee McLean.
Thank you, and through the chair. During your delegation, you talked about CYCs, which are children and youth counselors, and I was wondering if you could clarify and share, some of the ways in which the people who served in that capacity have provided assistance to your school.
So in my school, again, I'm not trying to degrade the people in my school, but due to the fact that we are in the community we are in, unfortunately, we will have some students who need some sort of push or some sort of guidance because they're being led astray. And so my school with the CYC, they have things like girls group where they talk to a bunch of girls about just their mental health and what they can do to become better, because for my personal opinion, I feel like bad always has a backstory to it. Not all bad, but a lot of the times why students in our community act according to like how they act. Most of the time there's like a backstory to it. So just, I guess, the CYC helping them just debrief and like how to better it in a more appropriate way. I think they help in that way. And just also like pushing us to be better in classes and whatnot. Because with being well educated, I feel like you also need to be mentally stable. And I know that the CYC helps us with that.
Not to mention, a lot of our students are first generations attending university. And me personally, it's a very confusing process. And so to have someone who knows the resources that I could potentially use, whether it's financially or mentally, or even just like as simple as helping me plan my university schedule available, is honestly very comforting to know. And not to mention, a lot of students, well, school isn't for everyone, but our CYCs help students to understand that, okay, maybe school's not for you, but there are alternate pathways for you, for example, like trades, and they kind of help students become more confident in themselves and the skills that they already have, and kind of show them how these skills can be applicable in real life. For example, a lot of students in our school run small businesses. Our CYCs help students to not only promote their business, but to kind of push them in the right direction as to taking things like business class or going into marketing or maybe taking an economics class.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much for coming today. And I forgot to mention earlier, if anyone has a written delegation that they would like to have us share with all trustees, you can feel free to send it to the email that you originally contacted, the delegates@tdsb.on.ca, and staff will make sure that all trustees get a copy of that.